Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. I mean, we might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are... CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, because they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle way.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. You accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive part, whether he can issue President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No.
Oh,
That
you
would be a
can't?
gross abuse.
Oh,
of presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse. A
President-
presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, J.B. Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, J.B. Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt, or
Ah,
at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
J.B.
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he get a
about this.
pardon also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that
the
committee?
seeking of pardons is
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. Are you going to condemn that pardon?
Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people, commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One who, in fact, one drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Diablo, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who if we were 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
At the end of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only PDawgKnight.
All right, everybody, I'm going to warn you in advance. Everything in today's show is going to be in some kind of random order because I just don't. I don't care anymore. No, I do care. I just care anymore. I don't care no more, no more, no more, no more. Oh, hi. I forgot. I'm doing a show right now. Hey, welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. No, it's not always the case, AD. Don't say that. Anyway, hey, so it's hump day, and I got a lot of stuff, but, I'm running late, of course, so I'm going to try to just pound through this, not in a good way, as fast as I can and just see what happens, and we'll get through as much as we can, and then there'll be a bunch of stuff in the links, because I got a lot of stuff open today, but I don't have time for any of it. Well, not for all of it. So anyway, hi, welcome, and let's say hi to everybody. Before we do that, we already have a sponsor today. I'm going to move the, we have already a sponsor, Avocados Diablo, dropping some Hamilton, or not a Hamilton, what is that? Oh, it's a small bullet, 223 in the tip jar, and that makes you the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Avocados Diablo says, I found one downside, and yes, there is one downside to car bees, as in buzzing bees. One downside to car bees. Let's find out what that is. No one appreciates the simple genius of it, and it kind of hurts the resale value when you try to get rid of it. Hell, theft prevention alone should make it add value. So if you're not sure what we're talking about, Avocados Diablo had a brilliant idea to prevent car theft, especially of Hyundais and Kias, since they seem to be very easy to steal, is to fill them with, not necessarily not the murder hornets, but at least killer bees, and that would prevent your cars from being stolen. Thank you, Avocados Diablo. I'm glad you dropped that in the old tip jar there. I appreciate it. If you want to sponsor the show, best way to do it is through the Streamlabs link, pdawgknight.live/tip, or the links that Johnny Boomertex puts on the screen eventually. And that helps the show keep going because, I've got to pay some electric bills and shit. Anyway, first the chat days, Kara Soldier gets the bell. Yeah, you're 2 days in a row. Holy moly. What is going on, AD? You're slipping. Also, good morning, Avocados Diablo, of course. And JB, almost, but, hand grenades and horseshoes. It only counts a hand grenade. And wait, isn't there another, if you're the close, like in, what do you call that? What's that lawn bowling game? Bocce, yeah, you score if you're close in bocce too, or curling if you're closest to this. Okay, there's a lot of things if you're closest, but I like horseshoes and hand grenades. Anyway, also good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg, Resolute Germs in the house. I gotta scroll down a while. Tyre, Pope Tyrannus the Third, the Blessed Lich, who says, blessing of the divine deceased and be bestowed one on all you, rejoice to this day is this gift to you. Sorry, you probably mumbled that kind of badly. Attack Alpacas in the house. Lewis. I say Louis. Oh no. You got a new song, Lewis. I've thought of one. It just came out of the top of my head. Blue-Eyed Scream, 76. Good morning. Also, is that it? Wow, where the hell is everybody? Is it just because I start late that people are like lose confidence in me? I don't know. But with 13 people in the viewing and only 2 likes, I am really disappointed. I mean, we're talking. What's Michael in the office is disappointed? Oh, Sound Noble Nation's here. What about? What about playing bocce with hand grenades? Oh, that would be interesting. Hand grenades, horseshoes, and government work. Yeah, that's true. Okay. All right. Yeah, I know. And all that extra stuff is overkill. Anyway, so if you as people pop in, I'll say hi, but you guys got to hit the like button. That's required. And also, I don't know if you caught the metaphor here. I wonder if I'm going to catch hell for that from anybody. I mean, not enough people watch this show to really care, but you got it, didn't you? I mean, that's you know, this big beautiful bill. I suppose it depends on how many beers you drink and whether or not you like it, or the Kool-Aid, some would say. But I support the president, but I'm not a fan of the bill. Is that okay? Is that okay to not like the bill? I just don't like the bill. Anyway, hey, we got another sponsor already, and now a new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor today. That'd be JB dropping a tray in the tip jar. Says, I remembered you mentioned you liked the Korea films, and I was watching a really good trilogy of films I'd recommend. I'm not sure what the trilogy is called, but the first film is called The Admiral Roaring Current. It's about a man named, and that's part one. Part two, did you put it in the just the chat, or is it where did you put in part two? We'll figure that out. You can just write in the chat. You don't have to tip again to do that. Just finish your sentence there. Anyway, thank you for sponsoring the show. Very greatly appreciated. And yeah, you're on the board, baby. You're on the board. All right. So yeah, and I do like the Korean. What K-dramas is what the technical term is for them. They're usually anywhere between 12 and 16 part dramas, which only have one season, which is nice because then you can finish you can resolve the whole story in one, what do you call that, binge, and then you're done. You don't have to wait for the next season. Although there is one, what is it called, Attorney something Woo, about this autistic attorney, which is actually, it sounds weird, but it's a really good show. And that one has a part two that they came out with. So is The Amazing Attorney Woo, something like that. Anyway, I really like that one. Oh, here it is. Yoon Yi Sun Shin. He was a Navy admiral who helped fight off the Japanese. The first film was the biggest grossing film ever in Korea. Basically, the Patriots for Korea. Oh yeah, no. So that's just a film, right? It's not like a K-drama, but I like Korean movies. I really do. Korean, especially their TV shows. Autistic attorneys redundant. Well, it can be, I suppose. Anyway, now let's do a quick run through of people who share the show. Of course, Somnambul Nation leads the pack. Dropping your own link to the channel. Oh, that's what I do there. I want to repost, not go into it. Dropping your own posting of the show, and here's a nice little let's go. It's Wednesdays, so right after the show, it says I'll spend the day up in the attic reading old comic books. So that's kind of cute. All right, there you go. And then also we got JB with another samurai. Let's go, and I like that. And then we got a wrestling one from Resolute Germ. Imagine that, something to do with wrestling. And that's I don't know her either. I just don't know any current wrestlers, if she's current or not. The female wrestlers were not big when I was a kid, and then they started getting bigger during the Attitude Era. But anyway, thank you, Tyler Alexander, Somnambul Nation, and Resolute Germ for retweeting my post, which I did not link. Did I just pin that? I don't think I did. I should pin that one. Oh, read up to 100,000 more users. Well, I'm not going to do that, but I will pin this to my profile. And then anybody else, and Tyler Alexander with the daily woo from Ric Flair. There you go. Thanks for the people who share the stream. I greatly appreciate it. Let's get into some news and stuff that's happening. Today is, of course, Hump Day! And as I announce every Wednesday. And now, this was cute. You've heard of Niagara Falls. Well, this is Viagra Falls. That's a dick joke. I get it. Even got some boulders down there in the bottom. Anyway, that's cute. That's for Hump Day. That's the daily Hump Day. And then I was going to scroll on Hump Day, the Happy Hump Day one, but I haven't. Oh my God. I can't. Okay. Well, I guess it's not. Okay. I don't know if I can show this. I can because it's a cartoon, and if I all right, I will. It says, I mean, you can come over, but nothing is happening. I'm tired. And then she's, I don't know, washing the vag. And then there's, this is body parts, but they're covered. It's tasteful. This is for Avocados Diabli, of course. And I can't scroll quickly. Oh, and there's still the guy who they're trying to find, this Travis Decker dude. And then there's a lot of me, because I've got a bunch of Hump Day posts. And then here you go, a duck riding a camel for Hump Day. That's enough Hump Day shit. Moving on. 4th of July is trending. Now, it's not trending at the top, but it is trending because it's not the 4th of July yet. So I was kind of curious, and someone said, I'm going to be passing these out at the 4th of July parade. Jägermeister lollipops. Oh, yeah, baby. I need me one of those. Except I'm not sure why they're green. Jägermeister's not really green, is it? Kiss of the camel toe. Yeah, that's cute. Anyway, hi, Lord Stanhope. And then, and please don't drink and drive this 4th of July weekend. Be safe. Always have a designated driver where they got the dog there. Happy 4th of July. Just for your friendly reminder, if you celebrate the 4th of July, you're celebrating an insurrection. Happy Insurrection Day. Oh, damn. I'm trying to figure out what they're getting at there. And the United States will always be our closest friend and ally, despite Mark Carney's claims Canada is in North America. We are American, not European. Happy Canada Day and happy 4th of July to our American friends. Well, that's a very nice sentiment from one of our friends from Canada. So that's cool. So anyway, we'll talk more about 4th of July in another day because it's not the 4th of July yet. Also, let's just do some news. Well, this is one of those, it's for you to decide, and I'm going to give you the headline. Televangelist Jimmy Swaggart dies at 90. Isn't he the one? Is Jimmy Swaggart the one that was jacking himself to some chick and they made a big deal out of it? Televangelist Jimmy Swaggart, whose multi-million-dollar ministry and huge audience dwindled following his prostitution scandals, has died. He was 90. Oh, God. Swaggart's death was announced Tuesday on his public Facebook page. The cause wasn't immediately given, although Swaggart had been in ill health. The Louisiana native, best known for being a captivating Pentecostal preacher with a massive following before being caught on camera with a prostitute in New Orleans in 1988, one of a string of successful TV preachers brought down by in the 80s and 90s by sex scandals. He continued preaching for decades, but with reduced audience. Yeah, so there you go. No, he's not the one I was thinking. Who was the one with what was she became famous for a while. Baker. Baker, what's his name? Jim Baker? Who was he with? And Tammy Faye. And then the chick, what was the chick's name? Jessica something, right? Anyone know her name? Jessica Faye. Was that? No, that's Tammy Faye Baker. What was her name? And then she ended up in some Jessica Hahn, thank you. And she ended up dating the comedian, the guy who screamed all the time. Because you're fat! Fat, you get fat! That guy. Can you remember his name? Sam Kinison. Thank you. I don't even have to know anything. All I got to do is ask you guys. And in fact, she was in a Sam Kinison music video too, which was weird that Sam Kinison had music videos. I need to take some Privigen. Yeah, I probably do. Anyway, Jimmy Swaggart's dead. That's the news. Moving on. Oh, I don't know if we talked about this. Remember that there was a camp in Colorado that the state of Colorado was suing because they didn't want to have transgender stuff going on in it or whatever, some Christian camp. Anyway, Camp Idahahi can continue work in alignment with its Christian stance on biological sex, but Colorado is still pushing trans ideology. Colorado officials have reached a settlement in a federal lawsuit with a Christian summer camp, allowing the camp to continue operating according to its religious beliefs on biological sex. The Colorado Department of Early Childhood announced a new regulation earlier this year requiring resident camps to provide access to bathroom, showers, dressing areas, and sleeping facilities that align with campers' gender identities rather than their biological sex. By the way, someone was kind of mad because we keep saying biological sex. I don't care. If your biology created you in the sex you are, that's called biological sex. Anyway, not saying that you're not a biological being. Anyway, the CDEC said the regulation based on rules from Colorado Civil Rights Commission implementing the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act. And we were talking about this camp a while back. Anyway, they ended up settling with them because I think they were going to say the state was causing religious discrimination or something. So the states gave up. So here's what it was. The Christian camp in Colorado that has embraced children of all faith for 77 years, the camp sought a religious exemption from the CDEC to maintain its biblical belief about biological sex. Unfortunately, the CDEC, that's the Colorado Department of Early Childhood, not only denied this request, but also directed the camp to seek legal assistance, putting Idrahayi at risk of losing its license and facing closure due to its refusal to conform to the state's leftist gender regulations. In response, Alliance for Defending Freedom, serving as the camp's legal counsel, filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the District of Colorado. ADF aimed to protect the camp's right, I'm going to say the camp because the name of the camp's hard to say, right to religious freedom and its mission to operate according to its belief. Just a month following the lawsuit, ADF announced a significant victory. The camp and the state of Colorado reached a favorable settlement. As a part of this agreement, Colorado committed not to take any enforcement action against the camp for alleged violations of the gender identity requirements. The CDEC clarified on its website that churches, synagogues, mosques, or any other place that is principally used for religious purposes, including the camp, are exempt from the requirements. Oh, gee, because you know that they were going to be now. Here's a question. Let me give you. I want this percentage. We're going to do it as a Q&A. Okay, as a Q&A for today. Before they decided to make an exception for this camp at other religious places, what percentage of mosques was the state of Colorado going to enforce gender rules on? What percentage of mosques was the state going to enforce gender rules on? You can answer that over in the Q&A, which will be, you can see the link up at the top of the chat here. I need to do a new pop-out chat so I can have that over here, because I'm gonna guess your answers will be very accurate. So just answer over there in the Q&A the answer to that question, and we'll check the poll a little. It's not even a poll. It's a. And if you have extra commentary, you can do that too, because I'm assuming that there's going to be a little extra commentary going along with that. All right, real quick, I do have another sponsor to the show. Oh, it's Avocados Diabli. Thank you again for sponsoring the show, and you again are the new Streamlabs superstar sponsor of the day. Dropping another small bullet in the tip jar. It says, did you see the several people, including election officials and someone currently holding elected office, got prison time for rigging an election? That thing that never happens. I know! Isn't that crazy? I think I might have an article open about that today. I'll have to check. Okay. By the way, today's coffee is brought to you in the Pablo Picasso cup. Why is that yellow looking see-through though? That's weird. That shouldn't be. Anywho, let's get back into the news. So the Christian camp, we did that one. Oh, here we go. In my neck of the woods, aka my employer, apparently UPS is pushing for electric trucks and has drivers sweating and unions furious. Now, I have not heard about this. So I saw this article. I'm like, oh, well, I should open it and see. Well, I'm not a driver, so it doesn't really make me mad, or even my union. Yes, I'm in the union, but I'm not in the there's a separate driver's union. Mike's. Oh, I see. My favorite Canadian Jaeger ponies in the house. How you doing? And also, Miss Wild Wolf. What up? Good morning to you too. Anyway, in 2023, the Teamsters signed a massive deal with UPS to guarantee a fleet of air-conditioned trucks. That I remember that, which I don't know. I was a little surprised at some of the concessions the company made. But anyway, quote, our members just ratified the most lucrative agreement the Teamsters have ever negotiated at UPS. This contract will improve the lives of hundreds of thousands of workers. Teamsters General President Sean O'Brien boasted at the time, Teamsters have set a new standard and raised the bar for pay, benefits, and working conditions in the package delivery industry. Now, yeah, it maybe for the drivers do really well, and I don't have time to be a driver there. But, I mean, I guess our pay did go up a little bit. Anyway, he may have started celebrating too early, though. Oh, and by the way, they're automating a large portion of the building that I'm working in. They're doing the remodeling now. So I'm even curious at, how many people are going to be working there after they automate a lot of the stuff that we do. But anyway, I digress. As temperatures climbed last month, the Teamsters sent a furious letter to UPS demanding information on the whereabouts of the air-conditioned vehicles. Yeah, because they haven't been getting them. How does UPS expect to actually deliver 20,000 or more air-conditioned package cars and vans over the next 2 years when the delivery giant is already so far behind? O'Brien demanded. The summer heat beating down on our members is no joke. UPS is playing a dangerous game with the lives of thousands of essential American workers. Now, look, and I enjoy working at UPS. I am curious, though. For over 100 years, UPS has been delivering packages in non-air-conditioned vehicles. And so I'm not sure what he means about playing with the lives of our people who work. But anyway, and then he continues, UPS, meanwhile, seems to have different concerns. For years, the company has been focused on replacing its fleet of so-called green vehicles. A few years ago, UPS pledged to make 40% of its vehicles use alternative fuel by 2025. So far, UPS says it uses more than 1,000 electric or hybrid vehicles. I have never seen one, and so maybe not in the Twin Cities. But anyway, drivers blasting their air conditioning in the sweltering Texas heat probably doesn't help the shipping giant's goal of reaching carbon neutrality by 2050. But that doesn't matter to the Teamsters. The 2023 deal pledges at least 28,000 package vans and cars with air conditioning, prioritizing workers in the country's blistering hot areas. The Teamsters contract covers nearly 340,000 of the union's 1.3 million workers. And again, here he goes, with oppressive summer heat already affecting major parts of the country, exceeding 100 degrees as far north as New York City. Zone 1 workers in the hottest southern states like Texas, Arizona, and Nevada are still waiting for UPS to honor its legal and contractual obligation on heat protections, the union said in a press release last week. Now, this is not the first time the union found itself at odds with green energy policies. The United Auto Workers, another major labor union, opposed President Joe Biden's electric vehicle mandate, saying a rapid shift in electric vehicles would cost union jobs. At the time, UAW President Shawn Fain withheld the union's endorsement from Biden until it could extract concessions from the administration. Now, a major Democratic policy has once again alienated one of the party's biggest constituents groups. The Teamsters demanding all available data on the status of the new air-conditioned vehicles. So far, UPS has only delivered 10% of the 10%. The union claims. So wait a minute, why does this have to do with electric vehicles, though? You push for electric. Oh, because they're trying to change their electric trucks. They're not getting out the air-conditioned vehicles. Anyway, I'm sure you're all just thrilled to hear about this, but it's the law of good intentions, right? You have all these good intentions. Everything sounds great and good and whatever. And then you realize that, we can't deliver on our promises. Anyways, that seems to be all kinds of things. Hello, Selected Boy, by the way. Yeah, all right. Boy. Only 2 people answered the question that I asked, whatever. I don't usually say axed, but it sounds funny sometimes. 2 people answered the question, what percentage of mosque was the state of Colorado going to enforce their gender rules on. Avocados Diablo says negative 3,000%. That's probably accurate. And Somnambule Nation with a 0. Lord Stanhope with a 0. So there you go. We all know that. We all know it's bullshit. But you know that they're going to try to enforce on any Christian entity, except now they've decided to back off and fuck off. So there you go. There you go, state of Colorado. It's a weird state, man. All right, Canada's still trending as of yesterday, because yesterday was Canada Day. And so I was scrolling down this, and there are a few interesting posts here. One of them was this one. This Muslim woman in Canada complains there are not enough halal options in grocery stores. Here, let's listen. Okay, let's listen.
This is how we check ingredients. We live in Canada, which means not everything here is halal. Halal means permissible for us to consume. Now, because not everything is halal, there's steps that we need to take to make sure that the food that we're getting is okay for us to eat. So how do we do that?
We get Pokemon snacks.
No, we check the ingredients. But before we even check the ingredients, we check to see if there's a kosher or halal symbol. This one has a kosher symbol, so it's okay for us to eat.
So if it's kosher...
It's interesting. Muslims can eat kosher food because the rules for kosher and halal are the same. But anyway,
we don't have to check the ingredients?
But this one, I might still to check if there's vanilla extract, because vanilla extract has alcohol. Alcohol can be kosher but not halal.
But when you're checking the ingredients, what do you check for?
Anything that's animal derived, anything that's pork derived, alcohol, vanilla extract, gelatin, glycerin, cheese.
Cheese? Isn't that just milk?
Well, cheese doesn't just have milk, Jared. Also, because we're in Canada, we have to make sure that the halal meat in these stores is actually halal by hand, because there are brands here like Zabiha that are not halal by hand. They're machine cut.
So what happens if you get a food and later find out it's not halal?
Well, then I'd be writing a very stern letter to the manufacturer, letting them know of my disdain.
Really?
Obviously not.
Oh, she's gonna write. So there is such a thing as a Muslim Karen. I'm gonna write a letter to the manager. You know, and I don't know. She may be from Canada, or maybe she transferred to Canada via multiple means. But this person says if she wants halal so much, she could always go back to her country, or if her country is Canada, she could just shop in halal grocery stores. Now, I know that's a stretch, but gosh, you know, I'm sure look, based on immigration policy in Canada and even in the United States, I'm sure there's somewhere you can find halal stores. Why is she like, is she a criminal? She's a bank robber? Why is she wearing that mask? Anyway, also, never forget what Trudeau did to Canada. Remember when they had the protest and they had the riot police out there just for a protest, a bunch of truckers and shit. Someone here says, do you think Canada should do the same as far as what they did in Denmark? Denmark has banned the burqa and tells Muslims to adjust to their culture and rules, face legal issues, or leave the country. What? In Denmark? I thought they were like socially liberal, whatever, you know, in Denmark. Interesting. And then where's the other one? There was one more, Canada. Oh, here we go. This is the new Canada. Are we celebrating again today? I forgot. I don't know what this is. Is this just like some people? You know, look, sometimes people put videos out like this. I'm going to play it. People put videos out like this saying, oh, this is what it's like here. And is it, you know, is this what we want the United States or our country to be like? What is this? What are they doing?
Are you kidding me?
Are they stealing in Canada? In Canada? What? I don't know even know what that's supposed to be. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. Okay, never mind. People are stealing stuff in Canada. I thought Canadians were nice and polite and apologize for everything. I don't know what that means. At least they were Canadian. Were they? I don't know. It's the speed talking. I don't know. Anyway. All right. Diddy's trending and I didn't really pay attention. Apparently Diddy. Oh, what? Wait, what? Okay, here's something. Viva Frey says apparently Diddy, Epstein, and Maxwell were sex trafficking to the same people. No one. The prosecution was the cover-up. I see what he did there. Let's see what Megyn Kelly has to say about Diddy. And again, this is just for research purposes and avocado Diablo. Hello, Tyler F. This is specifically because I know, AD, I know. All right, what's Megan going to say about Diddy?
Times reporting here, caller from inside the courtroom. Sean Combs is smiling as he shook one of his lawyer's hands and turned again to look at his family. He put his hands together in prayer and mouthed, thank you at the jury. That's the right thing to say, Sean Combs. He pumped his right fist.
Wait, what happened?
Yep. This is exactly the right attitude for Sean Combs, who just got away with serious felonies, in my view.
Did they find him not guilty?
Guilty as sin, in my view, and this jury just gave him a total pass. They bought Mark Agnifalo's argument, it appears. The
I
same
didn't
one
know.
that did
I
not
missed
work
it.
for Agnifalo in the Nexium
3 of 5 charges
sex
were not
cult case
guilty.
out of Albany, New York, in which he went in there and said, these women, we don't do sex cults. Women are powerful. Women make their own decisions.
Okay,
These
I guess
women
I
up in
missed
this other
this.
case chose to have themselves brand.
Avocado Diablo. He got off. He sure did. Oh, yeah. What the actual F? Okay, I missed this. All right, here we go. Not guilty on racketeering, conspiracy. Not guilty on sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Guilty on transportation to engage in prostitution. So he did get some guilty. I think they're going to send some of that shit. Not guilty of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Guilty on count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution. So he got guilty on 2 of the charges, and he may walk. Transporting to engage in prostitution? Isn't that illegal? So people are saying he's walking. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that he's walking. He's got to do some prison time, but, you know, he got the lowest charges. The verdict for Diddy is a message to all women that they are not believed. Sorry to the women out there, the victims especially they deserve better. Breaking, the jury in the Diddy trial has reached verdicts on all counts, verdicts to be read shortly. This was just an hour ago, so this just happened. Breaking, Diddy has been found guilty on multiple counts, including transportation to engage in prostitution, He found not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force or fraud. That surprises me, that one. 50 Cent waiting for that Diddy verdict. Everyone arriving on X for the P. Diddy verdict. Yeah, because, you know, everyone's going to be up there talking about it. Holy shit. Here's someone on some news channel breaking news.
Have the first verdict on count 1, racketeering conspiracy. How do you find the defendant not guilty? And so now they'll move on to count 2.
The second count is the one that surprises me the most.
How do you find the defendant
if you
not
listen
guilty?
to some of
That is the sex trafficking of Cassandra
and why is he
Ventura.
smiling, thanking the jury?
On count 3, which is Mann Act transportation involving Cassie Ventura, guilty. Count 4, sex trafficking of Jane, not guilty. Count 5, Mann Act transportation of Jane, guilty. So a mixed verdict here. Not guilty on 3 of the charges, guilty on 2 of the charges. Lisa, your reaction?
Okay, lots of people reacting to this. While Diddy was found guilty in the USA, Germany invites pedophiles to thrive with government support. Okay, I don't care about that. All right, well, we'll have a lot of news about that tomorrow. Only 2 of the 5 charges guilty. No deputies. I know Diddy's stomach hurts like he's got to take a massive shit. Demon Diddy not going to get a slap on the wrist, I bet. Or is going to get a slap. Someone's betting he's going to get a slap on the wrist. Man, I'm wondering what the judge is going to do in this. The judge, after listening to all that damn trial. Holy shit. Real quick, thank you, GunFox61. Dropping a Hamilton to the chip jar. Now you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you. Marty, did my news sense hear you? Oh, here it is. Well, speaking of which, Sean Diddy Combs. Let's read the article. I wasn't even planning on talking about Diddy today, but the jury said, let's talk about it. So here we go. Gunfox dropping this article. Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of most serious counts. Oh, that's it. Mixed verdict. Jurors in Sean Diddy Combs' federal criminal trial acquitted him of the most serious charges, racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking, but found him guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Sentencing outlook: Sean Combs could receive a prison sentence of up to 20 years. The maximum is 10 for each of the transportation counts. If he had been convicted of any of the other counts, the 55-year-old could have faced up to life in prison. The possible interim release, oh boy. The defense has asked that Combs be released while he awaits sentencing. At a request the prosecution opposed, the judge said he'll make a decision after the sides submit formal arguments at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And after the verdict, Combs faced the courtroom gallery and clapped, and his family and friends erupted into applause. Hey, you could still be in prison for 20 years, bitch. So maybe, they'll have a freak off in the jail cell in your ass, literally. Cassie Ventura lawyer: this case proved that change is long overdue. Cassie Ventura paved the way for a jury to find Sean Combs guilty on some of the counts against him. Her lawyer, Doug Wigdor, said in a statement, "The entire criminal process started when our client, Cassie Ventura, had the courage to file her civil complaint in 2023. Although the jury did not find Combs guilty of sex trafficking, Cassie, beyond a reasonable doubt, she paved the way for a jury to find him guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution." So, and hear that after the verdict, Combs faced the courtroom gallery and clapped. When he stood up, he faced the gallery and clapped, prompting the gallery to clap and cheer. Combs' attorneys all exchanged hugs as the gallery continued to cheer for them. They're exchanging hugs. He was still found guilty of part of it. They're acting like it's a huge victory that he only got the transportation or prostitution counts guilty. That he can still face 20 years with the possibility of parole for good behavior. After Combs left the courtroom, the family section started chanting "Dream Team" to the lawyers, who slapped each other on the back and embraced defense attorney Taney Garagos, hugged members of the Combs family with tears rolling down her cheeks. Jesus Christ. This motherfucker. You got to be kidding me. Mr. Combs has been given his life by this jury. So he may not die before 75. Good God. Thank you, Gunfox, for dropping that. Also, another Hamilton in the chip jar. What's up? Yeah, baby. Pacific Theater news. Okay, we'll switch to this. Did that open? That didn't open. There we go. All right, here's the other thing Gunfox sent me. Hijacking the show with precision and grace. North Korea to send, oh good God. Oh good God. North Korea is about to send as many as 30,000 troops to bolster Russia's forces, Ukrainian officials say. Now this is according to Ukrainian officials, but let's see what this says. Oh, I can't, is this one of these subscription? Okay, hang on. God, what a pain in the ass. Give me a second. Let's see if I can find an archive version of this stupid article. I'm not a robot. Is it going to give me I might have to choose something. No, okay. This was archived 4 hours ago. Let's try it again. North Korea could be sending as many as 30,000 troops to Ukraine. According to Ukraine officials, North Korea is set to triple the number of its troops fighting for Russia along the front lines, with Ukraine sending an additional 25,000 to 30,000 soldiers to assist Moscow, according to an intelligence assessment from Ukrainian officials. The troops may arrive in Russia in the coming months, according to the assessment seen by CNN, adding to the 11,000 sent in November, who helped repel Ukraine's incursion into Russian Kursk region. Around 4,000 of those North Korean soldiers were killed I'm not laughing because they were killed. It's just odd that they're sending troops to die for Russia. Hi, Hoko, and Willie is in the chat. So anyway, they were around 4,000 of those North Korean soldiers were killed or injured in the deployment, according to Western officials, yet Pyongyang's cooperation with Moscow has since bloomed. The Ukrainian assessment, seen by This is CNN, says the Russian Ministry of Defense is capable of providing needed equipment, weapons, and ammunition with the aim of further integration into Russian combat units. The document adds there is a great possibility the North Korean troops will be engaged in combat in parts of Russia-occupied Ukraine to strengthen the Russian contingent, including during the large-scale offensive operations. The assessment also says there are signs that Russian military aircraft are being refitted to carry personnel, reflecting the vast undertaking of moving tens of thousands of foreign troops across Russian Siberia, which shares a border with North Korea in its far southwest. Possible preparations for the new deployment include the arrival of a ship linked to last year's deployments at a Russian port, and cargo aircraft at North Korea's Sunan airport have been spotted on the satellite imagery obtained by CNN. So, wow, they're going to send another. Well, the possibility 20 to 30,000 troops. Gunfog says the 30,000 are just bodies for the meat grinder. Pretty much. They've lost more than a third of the North Korean soldiers they've already sent there. Also, I don't know, how many of these North Korean soldiers can coordinate with the Russians, and as far as command, I suppose they have translators and their units work autonomously, well, not autonomously, but independently via central communications. But geez, they really, 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 who? I don't get it. I don't get it. That oil must be very sweet and good. In other news, Leah Thomas is in the news again. Leah Thomas, the former University of Pennsylvania swimmer, apparently, Leah Thomas's stats and records at the University of Pennsylvania are going to be erased. Someone here said, as we delete the stats of the man we call Leah Thomas, we should remember that the media played right along and also deserved deletion. So here's an article about it. University of Pennsylvania bans male human beings from female sports. It will send a personalized letter of apology to each impacted female swimmer. Interesting. Does this have to do with something Trump did? Because I know people are blaming Trump. The University of Pennsylvania has banned males from female sports after an investigation into Title IX violations. I guess the school realized that it was about to lose a ton of money. The University of Pennsylvania agreed with the Department of Education to strip all records held by Leah Thomas in swimming. UPenn will restore to female athletes all individual University of Pennsylvania Division I swimming records, titles, or similar recognition, which were misappropriated by male athletes allowed to compete in female categories, according to the announcement. The University of Pennsylvania will also comply with Title IX, meaning absolutely no males in female sports. Because there's still going to be penises in female sports, just not on the playing field. If you get my drift. Anyway, thank you. This is what we want. Only females in female sports. Complying with the law also means the school will adopt biology-based definitions for the words male and female pursuant to Title IX. The school will follow the executive order signed by President Donald Trump that bans males from female sports. The cherry on top, the University of Pennsylvania will send a letter of apology to the impacted female swimmer. Wait, to the swimmer or swimmers? Breaking. UPenn will formally apologize for allowing Leah Thomas to compete as a woman. The tide is turning. Okay, so that is I'll call that good news. In some ways, I feel bad for Leah Thomas, and I'm not being facetious here, because someone allowed this person to do all this stuff when they knew they shouldn't have. And it's not, I don't know how much of it is Leah Thomas's fault that they let him do that. I can't even give you the pronoun. But, they gave this guy, they went along with his delusions, and now they got to take it all back. And, it's got to be hard for that person. No pun intended. So anyway, enough about Leah Thomas. Moving on. What was I really? Oh, I wanted to talk about the big, beautiful bill, which I think I've made my point clear on the big, beautiful bill. And again, let's go to my thumbnail, because this is kind of where This is a good encapsulation of what I think of the big beautiful bill. Yeah, big, yes, and it's something. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I don't find it beautiful. I find it just as bad as any bill the Democrats came up with. Why? Because we have billions of dollars in deficit spending. So it's like, until some Congress critter or Senate member or president actually lowers spending to below deficit spending, I'm not going to be happy. Now, does it mean I can't find the bill as some attraction? Again, let's look at the analogy. Can the bill be attractive in its own way? Kind of. But when you look at the total package, you're like, I'm not going there. So anyway, and well, it depends on how many beers I have. So Elon Musk tweeted out something that look, there's a reason that I don't ever want to put some other man's name on my head, like, the Trump thing. I like Donald Trump. I voted for him twice out of 3 times. And I still support the man and basically what he's doing, because I think the disruption of our government is necessary. But this kind of encapsulates where I'm at on this. When are they going to flatten this curve? Okay. When are they going to flatten this curve? We had a blip. What was it? 96, 98? One of those bills after the Congress got taken over. When are they going to flatten this curve? And that's what I'm looking for. And I think that's the point Elon Musk is making. And that's why even Donald Trump I don't know if he was serious about, we may have to deport Elon Musk. No, you're not going to deport him, but whatever. So where's Big Beautiful Bill? Is this it? No, that's illegal. So where's Big Beautiful Bill? Oh, I thought I had that here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Let's see. So here's people talking about the Big Beautiful Bill. Now, oh, by the way, Democrats are apoplectic because they're actually going to cut some Medicaid and things like that. And look, the cuts that they're making in Medicaid, which, like Bernie Sanders the other day, what did he say? He said they're going to cut all your Medicaid away. They're taking Medicaid away. Well, no, they're getting get rid of some of the waste in Medicaid. In fact, when here, Panikins told me bombing Iran would fracture the base. Panikin told me terrorists would fracture the base. Panikins told me that the Big Beautiful Bill would fracture the base. Panikins don't know about MAGA. So most of the Republicans, it's not gonna fracture me over Donald Trump, but I'm not happy about the bill. And in fact, let's see. Senator Cruz fought heroically in the middle of the night to stop Senator Hirono and other Dems and 3 GOP from ripping school choice out of the Big Beautiful Bill. He won. Millions of lower-income families, thank you for your courage. Someone here said, I started paying into Medicare in 1971 when I turned 16. Yes, I always had a job. I now have to pay for Medicare Part B plus Part C and Part D, which is $400 a month, yet illegal aliens get free Medicaid. I'm a hard pass on one Big Beautiful Bill until that's fixed. Now, this is the part he's talking about. Here's some of the things that the Senate changed as they were going through the Big Beautiful Bill. The Big Beautiful Bill. The Senate passed President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill on Tuesday morning, but only after senators spent hours negotiating changes for the nearly 1,000-page sweeping budget legislation. Again, I hate these motherfucking 1,000-page bills. Why don't they do 12 separate bills? But again, this is a reconciliation bill. Senate GOP holdouts such as Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, surprise, motherfucker, and Susan Collins of Maine, surprise, motherfucker, were pushing for amendments to Medicaid provisions and clean energy tax credits and using their leverage to strike deals with Senate Majority Leader Thune throughout the night. Here are some of the last-minute changes that were made to the budget reconciliation package. First of all, on Medicaid, Collins, who ultimately was one of 3 Republican senators to vote against the bill, has been a staunch advocate of procuring extra funding for rural hospitals affected by the Medicaid provider tax legislation and initially pushed for the $100 billion rural hospital fund. Senate Republicans instead placed a $25 billion safeguard fund into the bill. Look, I think they need to make sure they're not damaging rural hospitals, rural medical care. But again, the cuts in Medicaid are not for those things. But people are trying to tell you they're gonna close hospitals in the rural parts of your state. Collins introduced an amendment to raise the fund to $50 billion by raising taxes on billionaires, but the vote failed 22 to 78. 22 to 78. Even Democrats voted against it, with 18 Republicans and 4 members of the Senate Democratic caucus voting in favor. Despite her failed amendment, Collins' increased rural hospital fund was added into the bill without the need for taxes to be increased. Okay. As far as green energy tax credits, Senate Republicans made the last-minute alterations to green energy provisions, striking a controversial excise tax and giving tax credits to solar and wind projects that begin construction within a year for the bill's enactment. Great. The amendment still requires projects with later construction dates than the summer 2026 to produce electricity by the end of 2027 to qualify for the credits, because some of these things they've been building for years and are useless. Other tax credit. Republican Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa, Chuck Grassley of Iowa, John Curtis of Utah, and Murkowski all played key roles in negotiations over the energy amendments. Well, because Iowa is one of the windier states, and they have a shit ton of those freaking windmills everywhere. Freaking eyesores. Anyway, but look, Iowa does produce a lot of power from windmills because there's always windy in the rolling hills of Iowa. It's not always windy everywhere else. Anyway, other tax credits. A new tax credit for contributions to nonprofits granting scholarships to elementary and secondary schools has been added to the budget bill. The taxable contribution include those made to scholarship organizations that provide funds to eligible students within the states of the organization. Democratic Arizona Senator Mark Kelly's bill, aiming to change the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, also made it into the reconciliation bill. Kelly's measure would restore the Real Estate Investment Trust subsidiary asset test by increasing the asset percentage threshold from 20 to 25%. It would also provide REITs with more flexibility in how they format their subsidiary holdings. Oh my God, he must be a real estate investor, because only a real estate investor would come up with that bullshit. Next, the bill's title was changed. The legislation's former name, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, is officially no more, because it's a stupid fucking name anyway. Democrats use special Senate budget rules to delete the Trump-given title on Tuesday, much like Republicans revoked the Inflation Reduction Act title in 2022. Democrats also pulled a similar move in 2017, removing the name of the Republicans' Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So what did they change the name to? It was a dumb name anyway, and it's not beautiful. It's big. It's definitely big. It's big. Again, this is an analogy. On artificial intelligence, in a 99-1 vote, the Senate removed the 10-year moratorium on state and local artificial intelligence regulation. Republican Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn introduced the amendment to revoke the proposed ban after dropping out of a deal with Republican Senator Ted Cruz to cut the moratorium from 10 years to 5. Blackburn claims she left the deal with Cruz due to the carve-outs allowing states to regulate child sexual abuse content and children online safety, claiming the compromise would still allow big tech to continue to exploit kids, creators, and conservatives. As far as SNAP benefits, that's the food program. Throughout the hours of negotiation, Murkowski also secured changes to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, aka SNAP, for Alaska, claiming that they will allow for greater flexibility for her constituents. Democratic senators such as Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota took issue with the special Alaska-specific provisions, arguing other states should get SNAP carve-outs too. Even with the changes in the bill, Murkowski has still called on the House to send the bill back to the Senate to continue making alterations to the text. Do I like this bill? This is a quote. No, but I tried to take care of Alaska's interests, Murkowski told NBC News after the final vote on the bill. My hope is that the House is going to look at this and recognize we're not there yet. Well, thank you, Murkowski. So anyway, Senate passed the bill. Now one final step from the president's desk. That would be reconciliation with the House bill. That's enough about that. Murkowski is prominent in this article, which I'm not going to read. Fuck it. Also, the Senate rejected a measure to end Medicaid coverage for illegal aliens.
Your life makes me sad.
The Senate began what is known as Vote-a-rama on Monday morning, a rapid series of votes on dozens of proposed amendments to Trump's big, beautiful spending bill. As of 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the Vote-a-rama was still going, which, they got through it. Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough had previously determined that the Byrd rule applied in this case because a reconciliation bill, a type of budget bill, requires only a simple majority of 51 voters for the passage. The Byrd rule imposes restrictions on what provisions can be included. Measures deemed to be extraneous to the budget must secure a supermajority of 60 votes to pass. As a result, the proposal to remove undocumented immigrants from Medicaid failed by just 4 votes, which is shocking to me that they don't consider that a budget item. Why is that not a budget item? So anyway, the Senate just failed a vote on President Trump's big, beautiful bill to remove Medicaid benefits for illegal aliens. Many Americans, myself included, believe it is unfair to force taxpayers to subsidize the medical costs of individuals who are not legally authorized to be in the country. Doing so diverts unlimited resources away from programs intended to serve those who have paid into the system and drives up the overall cost of health care. As I see it, Medicaid should be reserved exclusively for citizens and lawful residents. During a 2019 MSNBC Democratic presidential primary debate, co-moderator Savannah Guthrie asked the candidates to raise their hands if their health care plans could cover undocumented immigrants. All 10 candidates on the stage, including former President Joe Biden and former Vice President Kamala Harris, raised their hands. It was a shocking moment, to say at least, and demonstrated just how far left the party had drifted. Unfortunately, 6 years later, taxpayer-funded health care for illegals is a reality in many states. Newsweek reported that in May that 14 states currently offer health care coverage to people in the U.S. regardless of immigration status, including undocumented immigrants. Undocumented people who cross the border illegally, motherfucker. According to Newsweek, these programs promote health and reduce long-term costs and aligns with moral obligations to care for vulnerable populations. These programs are also straining state and local budgets and giving foreigners one more reason to enter the U.S. illegally. That's just it. Let's just give them some incentive. You know, it's funny because I just noticed something too. You know how I've been saying for quite a while that the only word you need to know in the English language if you cross our border illegally during the Biden administration was the word asylum. That's the only word you needed to know. Because if you use the word asylum, then they would say, oh, well, come on in. We'll give you some phone and some tickets to a bus, tickets to wherever you want to go. And you can come check us out later when your court date comes around in 4 or 5 years. Asylum. That was the only word they needed to know. Well, now it seems that there's another word that, and look, there's some talk in Congress about bolstering the guest worker program for people who are farm migrant workers. We already have a migrant farm worker program. It's a special visa that you can use, right? And now that maybe the word asylum isn't so easy, now apparently it sounds like if they bolster this farm worker program, the only words you'll need to know in the English language are migrant farm worker, because you're gonna get a lot of people using that since they can't use asylum anymore. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this goes. But as right now, border crossings the last month, I think at least getaways or whatever, but not getaways, the processed border crossings of people who cross the border illegally, not a single one has been allowed to stay since in the last month. So that's some progress. Now, the other thing that people are talking about is this alligator Alcatraz, the prison they're building down in Florida. Where the hell did I put that? Where's alligator Alcatraz? Let's see. Here it is. A lot of people talking about this, and I'm going to finish up with this. So President Trump went to Florida yesterday, and him and DeSantis had a little powwow in front of the media. And so here's Trump and Alcatraz. Here's Trump and DeSantis talking about the alligator Alcatraz, which is actually just a giant temporary prison for people who they are going to be relocating by plane, because there's an airstrip, and it's a temporary holding facility for people that are being deported. But some people are saying, "Oh, this is a torture place. They're going to try to feed you to alligators," because they made jokes about the alligators not going to be needing needing to be fed because in case people escape from this prison. Hello, Keisha. What up, Kirsten? Anyway, so here's the brief clip that people are talking about on X.
This is, we're offering up our National Guard and other folks in Florida to be deputized to be immigration judges. We're working with the Department of Justice for the approvals. I'm sure Pam will approve. But then I'll have a National Guard judge advocate here. Someone has a notice to appear. Biden would tell them to come back in 3 years and appear. Now you'll be able to appear in like a day or two, so they're not going to be detained, hopefully, for all that long.
What a brilliant idea.
Here in this facility that can make, it's a bureaucracy. The president's got to deal with the bureaucracy. Now, that Supreme Court ruling was good because that's going to allow him to be able to exercise Article 2 the way founders intended, but you still have bureaucracy. So we want to cut through that so that we have an efficient operation between Florida and DHS to get the removal of these illegals done.
So there you go. They're talking about having National Guard deputized into immigration judges, which is interesting, I guess. Let's see. Oh, this one. Under Joe Biden, a 95-year-old veteran was kicked out of his home to make room for illegal aliens. Under President Trump, criminal illegal aliens will be housed in alligator Alcatraz instead. This is exactly what I voted for. So that's interesting. But lots of people making jokes about alligator Alcatraz, some in not the greatest amount of taste, so to speak, like, Benny Johnson selling alligator Alcatraz merch and stuff like that. But, it is what it is. And as I said earlier, I'm not going to get to everything today, which I'm proving right now. There's a bunch of articles I have that are lined up that, all kinds of things. I forgot I Googled big, fat, sexy women to find a picture of a fat chick who had a nice face. Anyway, also the aggregator is going to be there. So if you want to look at what I didn't get to, there's a ton. Plus the aggregator, there's a lot of news to look up. So that's going to be it for today. I appreciate you joining me on the Morning Night Live. Here come the links, as my computer seems to be working just fine today. There we go. So I'll copy and paste that. Here are the links from the show. There you go. That's it. We'll have more tomorrow on the day after Hump Day, aka FTG Thursday. The links are also going to be in the description for this video, which I just did that too. So there you go. Everything's good. Gotta go. Thank you. My name is PDawgKnight, and I am out of here, baby. See ya. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thanks for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.